My mother stood in the doorway, keys in hand, looking at me like I was a child who'd asked to sit at the adults' table. We're heading to the estate attorney's office. Family business. You're not ready for this yet, sweetheart. I was 28 years old. I had a master's degree. I paid my own rent. My father didn't even look back. When you're emotionally ready to handle adult matters, we'll include you. The door closed. The engine started. I watched their car disappear down the driveway. And I made the best decision I never planned to make. I stayed home. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Drop it in the comments. And if you've ever been the so-called problem child who wasn't good enough for the family table, hit that like button. You'll want to stay for this, because I had proof. 3 folders of it. I made coffee, then I opened my father's study door. Let me rewind. I wasn't always the outsider, but I was always the spare. My older brother Ethan was the golden child. Varsity captain, MBA from a top 10 school. He joined my father's consulting business right after graduation. His awards lined the mantle. My diplomas stayed in a drawer. I studied archival science and digital forensics. Not flashy, but precise. I learned to save everything. Emails, texts, bank statements, even birthday cards. When you grow up being told your memory is wrong, you start keeping receipts. My parents called me creative. They meant unstable. They said I was a late bloomer. They meant disappointing. But there was one person who never made me feel small. My grandfather. Before he died when I was 12, he held my hand in the hospital and said, "I'm taking care of you. No matter what." 3 weeks later, he was gone. My parents became trustees of something he left behind. They never talked about it. I asked once when I turned 18. My mother's face went tight. "It's complicated. You wouldn't understand the legal language." I let it go. I shouldn't have. Because that attorney meeting, the one I wasn't ready for, it wasn't about maturity. It was about money. My money. 3 days before that meeting, we were all in the living room. My father cleared his throat. "We're doing some estate planning. Meeting with the attorney on Thursday. You'll be there, Ethan." I looked up. "What about me?" My mother's smile didn't reach her eyes. "This involves complex financial instruments, honey. It's not really your area." "I have a graduate degree," I said. "I think I can follow along." My father shook his head. "You've always been uncomfortable with numbers. And you're still processing some things." "Processing what?" "Therapy takes time, sweetheart." My mother's voice was soft, dangerous. "We don't want to overwhelm you." I turned to Ethan. He wouldn't look at me. "So I'm not invited. When you're ready to be an adult about money," my father said, "we'll talk." The meeting was set. I wasn't on the list. I stood in the driveway that Thursday morning and watched them leave. All 3 of them. Ethan in the back seat, still silent. I should have been angry. Instead, I was curious, because my father's calendar was open on the kitchen counter, and the attorney's name was the same firm that had managed my grandfather's trust. I sat in the empty house, tried to watch TV, couldn't focus. I texted my best friend. They went to an estate meeting without me. Her reply came fast. "Maybe they're protecting you? Family money stuff gets messy." Even she thought I wasn't ready. I felt the old shame crawl back. The voice that said maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was too sensitive, too broken. I almost let it go. But something gnawed at me. I opened my laptop, searched the attorney's name, found the firm website, trusts and estates, high net worth clients. Then I remembered something. Our family iCloud account, shared calendars, shared email access. I logged in, went to my mother's inbox, and there it was. An email thread from 2 months ago. Subject line, Trust Beneficiary Amendment. My hand shook. I clicked. And everything made sense. The email was between my mother and the estate attorney, dated October 14th. "We'd like to transfer the beneficiary designation on the trust from our daughter to our son. What's required?" The attorney replied the next day. "The original trust names your daughter as sole beneficiary upon reaching age 25. Any amendment requires either her written consent or a finding of incapacity. Do you have grounds for the latter?" My mother's response made my stomach turn. "She won't sign willingly. She's been in therapy for anxiety. Can we argue emotional instability?" The attorney hedged. "That's a difficult standard. However, the trust does allow trustee discretion if all co-trustees agree the beneficiary is not prepared to manage the funds." One more line from my mother, then we'll use that. She doesn't need to know until it's done. The trust was worth $1.2 million. My grandfather's money, for me. I took screenshots of everything, but an email isn't enough in court. I needed the original trust document, and I knew exactly where my father kept it. My father's study was off limits when I was a kid. Not anymore. I opened the door. The file cabinet sat in the corner. Top drawer, estate documents. I pulled the folder labeled Family Trust, flipped to the amendment page. Dated last month. There was a signature line at the bottom, beneficiary acknowledgement of amendment. My name was signed on it, but I had never signed anything. I pulled out my driver's license, compared the signatures side by side. The forgery was good, but not perfect. The loop on my capital letter was wrong. The slant was too steep. They were planning to present this today, at the meeting I wasn't invited to. A done deal. I took 3 photos. Then I heard a car door slam. They were back, early. I closed the folder, slid it back, pocketed my phone, walked out of the study and into the hallway. My father's voice came from the foyer. "Why is the study light on?" I smiled, kept my voice light. "Oh, I was looking for a book. Sorry." My mother's eyes narrowed. She didn't believe me, but she didn't say anything. The clock was ticking. If I confronted them now, they'd destroy the evidence, or gaslight me into doubting what I saw. I needed to move fast. That night I went deeper. I was still on my parents' shared bank account, a leftover from college. They'd never removed me. I pulled up the transaction history and found something I wasn't supposed to see. 11 transfers, over 8 months, from my savings account to Ethan's checking account. $18,140. Every transfer was labeled loan repayment. I had never loaned Ethan a dime. I cross-referenced the dates. They lined up perfectly with my unemployment gap after grad school, the months I was struggling to make rent. My parents had skimmed my account, little by little, to create financial stress, to build the narrative that I couldn't manage money. It wasn't just theft. It was strategy. I screenshotted every transaction. Then I looked at the dates again. The transfer stopped 1 week after Ethan's startup launched. Wait. I opened LinkedIn, searched for Ethan's company, and that's when I found the real reason they wanted my trust. Ethan's company had raised a seed round 6 months earlier. $400,000. The press release listed the lead investor, James and Diane Family Trust, my parents. But they didn't have $400,000 in liquid assets. I'd seen their tax returns years ago when I helped them file. They needed my trust fund to bankroll Ethan's dream. I pulled the public filing from Angel List. The investment date was 3 weeks before my mother's first email to the attorney. This wasn't random. It was a plan. They'd already spent money they didn't have. On the golden child, the safe bet, the son who'd make them proud. And I was the liquidation strategy, not their daughter, an asset. I sat back in my chair. I wasn't hurt anymore. I wasn't even angry. I was surgical, because now I knew exactly what to do. I opened my email at 11 that night. Typed a message to someone I hadn't spoken to in 2 years. Professor Ellison, my trusts and estates professor from grad school. She used to say, "You'd make a hell of a paralegal." Subject line: forgery, breach of fiduciary duty, and a family dinner I missed. I attached every screenshot, the emails, the forged amendment, the bank transfers, the Angel List filing, hit send. I didn't expect a reply until morning. She responded in 20 minutes. "Do not sign anything. Do not discuss this with them. I'm referring you to a litigator tonight. Expect a call at 8 a.m. This is actionable." The attorney called at 7:53. By 9, we'd filed an emergency motion to freeze the trust and remove my parents as trustees. Hearing scheduled for Thursday, 72 hours away. I didn't tell my parents. I played compliant. Apologized for snooping in the study. Asked if I could take them to dinner to make up for being difficult. They softened. My father even hugged me. "Proud of you for letting this go, kid." I hugged him back and said nothing. Thursday morning, 9 a.m. County Probate Court. Small hearing room, fluorescent lights, wood paneling, 3 rows of benches. My parents walked in at 8:57. They'd been served with the motion that morning. Emergency service. They had no time to prepare. My mother's face was pale. My father's jaw was tight. Ethan wasn't there. He had no idea. The judge entered. We stood. My attorney started. "Your Honor, we're here on an emergency petition. The trustees of a family trust have engaged in forgery, self-dealing, and financial abuse to divert assets meant for my client." My father's attorney tried to interrupt. The judge held up one hand. "Let her finish." My attorney pulled up the first exhibit on the screen. The original trust deed, page 7, names the petitioner as sole beneficiary upon age 25. She is now 28. Exhibit 2. A forged amendment dated last month. Note the signature mismatch. Side-by-side comparison. My real signature from my driver's license. The forged one from the amendment. Exhibit 3. Email correspondence between the trustee and estate counsel. Quote, she won't sign willingly. Can we argue emotional instability? My mother started to cry. The performance she always used. The judge didn't blink. Exhibit 4. $18,000 transferred without authorization from petitioner's account to her brother's account. Labeled as loan repayment. No loan existed. Exhibit 5. Public filing showing a $400,000 investment from the family trust into the brother's startup. 3 weeks before the amendment attempt, the judge looked at my parents. Did your daughter sign this amendment? My father hesitated. No, Your Honor, I said. I did not. Did you authorize the transfers to your brother's account? No, Your Honor. The judge leaned back. Emergency relief is granted. The trust is frozen effective immediately. Both trustees are removed. I'm appointing an independent fiduciary. We'll schedule a hearing on damages and restitution within 30 days. The gavel came down. My parents sat frozen. My father turned to me as we walked out. His voice was low, venomous. You'll regret this. I stopped. Looked him in the eye. I already did, Dad. That's why I'm here. 3 months later, the independent trustee released the funds. $1.2 million. Untouched. I didn't blow it on revenge. I didn't buy a sports car or a penthouse. I started a foundation in my grandfather's name. For first-generation college students studying archival sciences and forensic accounting. $50,000 a year in scholarships. I kept $150,000 as an emergency fund. Put the rest into a managed trust I actually controlled. And I used $50,000 to go back to school. Got a certificate in forensic accounting. Turned my pain into expertise. My parents were ordered to repay the $18,000, plus legal fees. It came to $32,000 total. I didn't press criminal charges for the forgery. I could have, but I chose boundaries over destruction. Ethan's startup folded 4 months later. The market shifted. His investors pulled out. He got a corporate job, stopped posting family photos on LinkedIn. He never apologized. But he never contacted me again either. My parents sent a letter through their attorney 6 months later. The subject line was reconciliation. The real ask was underneath. Drop the restitution. Let them back into the trust discussion. I wrote one line back. I'm ready to sit at the table now. But it's my table. No response. I started therapy. Real therapy. My choice. My terms. I met other people with golden child siblings. People who'd been erased, gaslit, financially abused. The pattern was everywhere. I started a YouTube channel. Financial literacy. Family systems. Boundaries. It grew. The comments poured in. This was my childhood. I thought I was the only one. You're not. And here's what I learned. You don't owe anyone access to your peace, your money, or your truth. Being ready isn't about their timeline. It's about yours. I'm not the villain in their story anymore. And I'm not the victim in mine. I'm just the one who stayed home and opened the right drawer. So drop a comment. Have you ever been excluded from something that turned out to be about money? What did you do? And if you want part 2, I've got 3 more family stories and they're wilder than this one. Hit subscribe. You know what to do. And if you've ever been underestimated, hit that like button. Because you're exactly where you need to be. This has been a fictionalized dramatization and is not legal or financial advice. But the lesson is real. Boundaries aren't cruel. They're survival.